Fellow Toastmasters.
Jay.
What is that?
Jay.
Jay. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. I'm Toastmaster Danny Gilmore, and I'll be delivering my first speech, which is called the Icebreaker. And before I begin with that, let me ask everyone a question. Who in here, by show of hands, has been bullied before or knows someone that has been?
Of course.
That's about almost all of us. I know this, I have my hand up for a reason too. I know this 4th grade boy. He was grew up in a poor neighborhood. And actually, a typical lunch in his house would be a bowl of rice and 1 slice of bread. And if he was lucky, his parents would have the money to bring home some of the yellow slices of American cheese. And he would take a slice of cheese, put it on the bread, put it in the microwave, take it out, and eat it, and that would be a great lunch for him. He actually loved this cheese so much that he would just put a piece on the plate, put it in the microwave, and he would love it just like that. He was just happy to have something different to eat in the house. And he didn't have much to take up his time, so what he would do is run around the neighborhood or climb some trees. And actually, there's this one huge tree in the neighborhood that all the kids gathered at. And it was kids of all races, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, you name it. They were having fun with each other and they weren't judging each other. And while he was playing at that tree with the other kids, his parents were out in the real world working hard for the American dream. And everyone knows what the American dream is work hard, buy a nice house, and send your kids to a private school. And guess what? They did it. They worked so hard to provide for their family. They worked hard mentally and physically to the bone to provide for their family and this little boy. They moved out of that poor neighborhood, bought a nice house next to the private school, and sent this boy to that school. And so began this journey, this little boy, 4th grade, in the rich kid's school. And he always got A's. He always did so well academically. And he loved that school. I mean, he did so good, he got perfect attendance every year. I mean, it didn't even matter to him if he was sick. He was going to school and he was getting an A. So all he would think about is school until something incredible happened one day. He fell in love. And sounds kind of funny, like a little 4th grade boy thinks he's in love without even consulting anyone, He's just sitting there so happy. He went home, jumped on his bike, left the neighborhood, went out to a store called a Five and Dime store. I don't know if anybody remembers this store, but the Five and Dime store, he went there to buy a purple flower, and it wasn't a real flower, but a flower nonetheless. And then he went the next morning to this girl's locker, and there's little slits in the front of the lockers. I don't know if they have them now, but there's these little slits in the front of the locker. He took the stem and put it inside the slit, and he took a love note and put it right inside the other slit. And no one really paid attention to this little boy before. He's a new kid at school. But after he made it clear that he liked this popular girl, these other boys started to team up against him because they were also wanting the attention of this popular girl. They would just point at him, laugh at him, make fun of him because he was a different race than they were, and they would come up with the harshest things to say to him. And actually, on occasion, they would pick up little pebbles and throw it at him or throw it in his direction and just laugh and point at him. And he was just so miserable in this new spotlight that he started walking around school with his shoulders forward, his head down, and just trying not to make eye contact with anyone, just hoping that he would be invisible so that no one can make fun of him anymore or talk to him. And he was in such bad shape that the teachers tried to reach out to him. There's this one teacher that tried to come up with a nickname to try to make him laugh or come out of his shell. They called him, she called him Mr. Doom and Gloom, and the nickname didn't help at all. So he continued to go through school realizing that none of the girls would go out with him because he was of a different race. I mean, can you imagine? You can't get a date because you weren't born a white American. You know, he was miserable at this state. And 8th grade, middle school was just so harsh, so rough on his self-esteem, until one day he came across this book. It was called How to Win Friends and Influence People, written by Napoleon Hill. How many people have heard of that book?
Dale
Read that
Carnegie.
book before? Was it Dale Carnegie?
Dale Carnegie, yeah.
Was it Dale Carnegie?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he loved Dale Carnegie. He looked for other books just like it. I mean, the How to Win Friends and Influence People, he was thinking to himself, a little book that can get me friends and then influence people? I can't wait. So he read the book, and then he read it so fast he had to read it again. Then he went out looking for other books, like Napoleon Hill's Golden Rules, The Secret, you know, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad series, and Tony Robbins' books. He started reading them, became so excited that this little 4th grade boy that didn't talk to anyone couldn't stop talking. He went to other people, other friends. He said, hey, have you read this book before? You're like, no, man, leave me alone. He couldn't find anyone like him. You know, he couldn't find anyone. He was thirsty for personal development, which no one else had. This little boy was so excited, and yet he was alone again. He started studying real estate investing and started networking with successful individuals and started to gain confidence in himself. He realized something after reading these books. He realized that your physiology, your posture, your words, your confidence to speak your mind was actually changing his life and actually having him believe in himself again. And you know what that little 4th grade boy is doing right now? He's giving his first speech at Toastmasters tonight. Thank you.